Oh, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us once again for our latest Railbookers webinar, where we'll be looking at our top holidays booking now to the Mediterranean, Spain and beyond. My name's Sam. I'll be your host today, looking to inspire you for that next trip away. So just before we jump into our holidays, let's take a quick look at why some of our travellers love Railbookers. So you see there on the top right, maximum flexibility. So we offer any destination and any date for any length of time, which means that all of our holidays are fully customizable and tailored to your specifications. Top middle, you can see there we book and travel from today to 2024. So if you're looking at a luxury trip, perhaps celebrating a special occasion, you're looking to plan way ahead, don't worry, we can start looking at that for you now if you're looking into 2023 or even 2024. And bottom left, the largest rail holiday selection. So we have over 5,000 holiday options for yourself and our customers to choose from. And of course, we're the rail experts, and no trip is too complicated for us. If you're not sure where to start, just give us a call and we'll be happy to help. If you wish to download some of our digital brochures, please just go onto our website where you'll find them. We have a whole range of brochures that cover all of our packages. You can see we've got Spain by rail there, which we'll be looking at today. We've got a luxury brochure, a Scotland and the UK brochure. We've got everything to cover your holiday needs. And just a reminder that we are a fully global company across 3 continents, 5 cities, Toronto, Laguna Hills, London, Sydney, and Beverly, just outside of Boston. Really what that means is it doesn't matter where you are in the world, there should always be someone on hand to help you out if you need to while you're on your travels. And finally, just to mention that we do have direct rail partnerships with all the main rail suppliers across Europe and North America, as you would imagine. So Deutsche Bahn in Germany, for instance, Amtrak and Via Rail in North America, Eurostar, of course, as well. Allows us to make those special requests for you, get the very best prices, and also it's what allows us to be able to book those holidays for you all the way through up to 2024. Okay, so let's jump into our first holiday, which is a 6-night, 7-day trip to the Cote D'azur, visiting Nice and Cannes. This starts with a Eurostar out of London into Paris, and then it's a high-speed TGV from Paris down to Nice, where you'll spend 3 nights. We also include a round trip to Monaco, a lovely day tour out to Monaco. And then you'll get to ride the trains along the Cote d'Azur down to Cannes for 3 nights in Cannes before travelling back again to London via Paris. So starting in Nice, 2 days at leisure to explore the charming city of Nice and enjoy some of that famous local cuisine, perhaps on the attractive seafront there. It's got the Promenade d'Anglais and the Place Messina for you to stroll along, lined with those famous palm trees. Make sure that you take a wander through the old town of Nice as well, where you'll discover some of that fantastic traditional French architecture. There's also some lovely daily markets selling gifts and fresh Niçois delicacies. And Nice, a fantastic spot to start your trip. And as I mentioned, there is also a day trip out to Monaco included as well by train, a round trip by Nice. So you'll get a day to explore at your leisure. Monaco, the smallest monarchy in the world, home to the famous Grand Prix, of course. You'll get to enjoy some of the opulence and glamour of that fabulous little principality, the home of the Monte Carlo Casino, and you'll get to see, if you wish, some of the largest yachts on the French Riviera. And then finally, you get to spend a bit of time in Cannes, and we do include a fascinating 2-hour walking tour on one of the mornings in Cannes, where you'll get to hear about the history and stories of Cannes, from its fishing village beginnings all the way through to the glitz and glamour of the Cannes Film Festival. So you'll really get to experience all the luxury sights and sounds of Cannes. Make sure as well to take a walk along the La Croisette, the vibrant seafront famous for its great beaches and little boutique shops. Okay, moving on. Our second holiday we're going to look at is our Rome and Cinque Terre holiday. Very, very popular indeed, especially that 3 nights that we have in Cinque Terre there. So this is a 6-day, 5-night holiday starting from just over £1,400 per person. Begins with flights into Rome, 3 nights in Rome, and then you'll take the train via Florence up to Cinque Terre, where you'll spend 3 nights relaxing in your own apartment. After your time in Cinque Terre, it's down to Pisa for a flight home. And you can see there that we do, as I mentioned, take the train via Florence on this trip. Florence isn't included, but as everything we do is completely customizable, if you would like to add a couple of nights in Florence to this holiday, we can absolutely do that for you. So we're going to focus a little bit on Cinque Terre now. Everybody knows what Rome has to offer, but Cinque Terre and some of the areas within Cinque Terre are hidden gems, and you're going to be staying in an area called Minarola. So from Rome, after those 3 nights, you're going to travel along the coast to La Spezia, and then there's a change for a short and wonderfully scenic regional train ride up to Manarola. When you get to Manarola station, you'll be met by a local guide and shown to your apartment. Along the way, the guide will give you all the information you need for your stay, as well as perhaps some suggestions on what to do while you're there, and an idea of some of the great local restaurants that you can eat out in. At this point, they'll also present you with your Cinque Terre card, which covers any travel in the region during your stay. And on that first afternoon, we do include a venture to an ancient wine cellar for a lovely warm welcome and tastings of local wines and nibbles. And as I mentioned, you will have the opportunity to live like a local in Manarola, in your very own apartment with fantastic views over the sea. So this second day spent in your apartment, another day, in paradise. You'll have a lovely leisurely morning breakfast at the apartment. And then later that day, you'll have an hour learning the secrets of a true Italian speciality, pesto. So you'll learn how to make pesto using a pestle and mortar, of course, and you'll be guided through the heritage of this local speciality, and have a chance to sample some of it with some local focaccia and a glass of Cinque Terre wine. And after that, the rest of the day is yours to enjoy, or you can head back to your apartment to relax. On your final day in Cinque Terre, it's yours to spend as you please, whether it be hiking the famous coastal paths maybe, or enjoying the breathtaking views from the sites surrounding the area. You can also perhaps decide to ride the local train and visit the 5 other gorgeous villages in the Cinque Terre region. That's all covered by your Cinque Terre card, as I mentioned earlier. And should you wish to perhaps take a tour of the local vineyards, do just speak to any of our experts. We do have tours that we can offer out to the local vineyards, one that you can see a picture of here. Okay, so moving on to Spain. So we do have a fantastic trip down to Barcelona and Valencia. It's a 7-night, 8-day trip starting from £1,069 per person. Again, this one starts with the Eurostar out of London through to Paris, quick change in Paris, and then the high-speed direct TGV all the way through to Barcelona. So you should be able to get into Barcelona for early evening. You'll have 3 nights in Barcelona before taking the train down the coastline to Valencia, where we include 4 nights for you before you take a flight back to London. And just a reminder, of course, we are Railbookers. If you don't wish to fly, we can organise round trip by rail on all of these holidays. If you wish to remove the air completely, just let us know and we'll give you the best route back to your home destination via train where possible. So this particular trip starts in Barcelona, a real vibrant city full of contrasts. And on that first free day of yours, perhaps go out and bask in the sun amidst the mosaics of Gaudi's Park Güell, fantastic place to spend a morning or afternoon, or ride the cable car to the top of Montjuic Hill, where you'll be treated to some of the best views over the city. Of course, there's also a plethora of grand museums for you to visit as well, lots of history, lots of culture, but lots of areas to relax as well in Barcelona. On your second morning, again, you have that morning to enjoy yourself with breakfast at the hotel, and then perhaps familiarise yourself with some parts of the city that you haven't visited yet, a walk up La Rambla, perhaps. And then in the afternoon, we do include a tour of the famous Sagrada Familia with access to the tower. An incredibly iconic monument, of course, one that you won't forget. The architecture itself, will just make you marvel at its construction. It really is a sight to behold if you haven't seen it. And most people only get to see it from the outside, but we do include skip-the-line access, which allows you to step inside the Sagrada Familia, as I say, get that tower access, and enjoy Gaudi's work from behind the scenes, I suppose. And that skip-the-line access is hugely important. It means you don't have to worry about long queues. So there really is a huge amount to see and do in Barcelona, including, of course, spending some time on Barceloneta Beach, if you wish, if you'd like to relax after a couple of days exploring the city. And Valencia. So you do have a good amount of time to explore Valencia. Definitely one of the Mediterranean's finest cities, but I suppose also one of the most underrated. In Spain, you often hear about Barcelona and Madrid and the Andalusian region, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but not often Valencia. So we do include a tourist card for you while you're in Valencia, so you can explore the city at your own pace. Very famous for its ceramics and its tiles dating back to Moorish rule, and it's got a fantastic Valencian cathedral as well that's not to be missed. And of course, it's right on the shore, so why not spend some afternoons relaxing beside the shoreline? One of the local favourite beaches is called the Malvarosa Beach, so I'd highly recommend checking that particular beach out if you're looking for a couple of relaxing days. And then, of course, in the evenings, be sure to treat yourself to some authentic Valencian food. Okay, so I mentioned Andalusia. So we do have a lovely 8-night, 9-day Andalusian explorer holiday starting from £1,809 per person. It includes return flights to Malaga, and then 2 nights in Malaga, 2 nights in Granada, 2 in Cordoba, and 2 in Sevilla as well. And like all of our holidays, we do include lots of excursions for you. In this particular trip, you'll get a tour to the Alhambra Palace of Granada. You'll get to discover the Mezquita of Cordoba, one of the world's greatest Islamic buildings, and also explore the amazing Royal Palace of Alcazar in Seville. That's all included in this particular trip for you. So you'll start in Malaga, check into your hotel for your 2 overnight stays. Malaga, a fantastically vibrant, culturally rich city, famous for its beaches, of course, but also blessed with a delightfully restored historic centre, and very famous for the Alcazar, an 11th century Moorish castle with ramparts that overlook the entire city. It also has the Picasso Museum as well, where you can see works by the hugely influential artist who was, of course, born in Malaga. It also has some lovely, relaxing and tranquil botanical and historical gardens, which are set just above the city, that boast stunning views over the city itself and the Mediterranean coast. From Malaga, we do recommend perhaps adding an extra night and visiting Ronda. Many of our customers do. Ronda is a lovely mountaintop city in the Malaga province. As you can see here, it's set dramatically above a deep gorge, and the gorge and the bridge that runs over it separate the new town from the old town, which dates back to Moorish rule. There's lots of mosques, museums to explore, lovely plazas to relax and enjoy some of the local cuisine. And of course, you can step out onto the bridge and get incredible views over the city itself. That's one of the real highlights of Ronda, is stepping onto that bridge and looking at the landscape. So after your time in Malaga and perhaps a day trip out to Ronda, you will get to visit Granada and immerse yourself in more of Spain's Moorish past, with included entrance, as I mentioned earlier, to the Alhambra Palace and the Generalife Gardens there. Definitely the most popular attraction in the city, and I would say one of the most beloved attractions, in the whole of Spain itself. It was constructed back in the 11th century. and then it's had numerous revisions over many hundreds of years. And people now say that it's a painstakingly restored love letter to the Moorish architecture of the past, which I think is a nice way to describe it. It's a real not-to-miss tour of Andalusia. And again, just like we do with the Sagrada Familia, we include the skip-the-line tours to make sure that you get guaranteed entry and don't have to deal with those longer queues. So just taking a look at one of our featured hotels in Granada. This is the Hospes Palacio dos Petos. I would say Granada's most stylish hotel. It mixes 19th century palatial premises with more modern design. Lovely hotel to relax in should you wish for something a little bit more luxurious. And just to remind you that we offer hotels all the way from 3-star through to 5-star based on your preference. And after Granada, it's a train ride down to Cordoba, where you're going to check in for a 2-night stay. Cordoba is a slightly smaller city than some of its Andalusian neighbours like Seville and Granada. But what it lacks in size, it definitely makes up for in history and charm with many spectacular sights. It's got a lovely old town where you'll find the glorious Mezquita and some lovely plazas, the Plaza de las Tendias, one of the most famous with lovely, excellent bars and restaurants. Fantastic plaza to spend the evening relaxing in. On your second day after breakfast, you will get to explore one of Spain's most celebrated historic monuments. As I mentioned, the Mezquita. You'll get a guided tour of the great Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba. With a local knowledgeable guide, you'll get to hear about the fascinating history of this UNESCO World Heritage Site, and of course get to marvel at the architecture from many eras gone by of Cordoban history. And in Cordoba, we also have a luxury hospice hotel as well called the Hospice Palacio del Barrio. So you can really, as I say, make this a luxurious special holiday to remember if you'd like to upgrade your hotels to some of our 5-star properties in the area. There's also an opportunity to extend your stay out of Cordoba and visit Jaén. Not pronounced Jane, I don't believe. I think it's Jaén, which is a city in southern Spain, of course. It's known for its olive oil production. Has a very famous historical centre as well, famed for a lot of fortresses, including one called the medieval Santa Catalina Castle. Also has a Renaissance-style cathedral, which is said to hold the Holy Veil, said to have been used to wash Christ's face. So if you're looking to take a break, I suppose, from the tourist trail, then maybe a day trip out to Jaén is a great option for you. And then our final trip today, Galifia and Porto. So 9 nights, 10 days, travelling down to the Galicia region. So it starts with a flight into La Coruña. You'll have 2 nights in La Coruña, and then you're going to take the train, wind the train down to Porto via Santiago de Compostela, Pontevedra, and Vigo. So you're going to start in La Coruña for a 2-night stay, the largest city in the Galicia region. Therefore, you can imagine boasts plenty of exciting attractions and it flanks that beautiful coastline. There's also a real taste of history here. The old town hosts some of the city's best architecture and landmarks, and there's an imposing castle, the Castillo de San Anton, which houses a fantastic archaeological museum. There's also a very famous Roman lighthouse, which I would recommend all to check out if you're travelling to La Coruña. It's called the Torre de Hercules. Coruña also, finally, very famous for its local beer, the Estrella Galicia. So if you're into your beers, make sure to have a pint or 2 of the famous local beer in the evening. Then we're going to be moving on to Santiago de Compostela. So after breakfast in the hotel, and as I keep mentioning breakfast, just to remind you that breakfast is included in all of our hotels throughout your stay. So after breakfast, make your way to the station and catch the short train journey down to Santiago de Compostela for another 2-night stay. Santiago de Compostela, of course, famous for being the final destination of the Pilgrim's Trail. And no visit to Santiago really is complete without a trip to the cathedral, which you can see there. It's really an architectural marvel in itself and showcases that eclectic mix of architectural styles that you'll find in Galicia. It's also said to host St James's tomb, which is located beneath the cathedral, and there's a sculpture there as well, which represents St James himself. Also, don't forget to head to the Pilgrimage Museum as well, and there's a fantastic cathedral museum right in the centre of the old town. So on that second day, we do include a private walking tour as well, so you can discover the sights of the old town with a local guide. You'll get to explore the squares around the cathedral and talk to a guide who'll tell you about the history of the city, and also show you many of the places that visitors miss. You'll be off the beaten track. Hidden squares, small streets, lovely markets, and also they'll make sure that you catch the absolute best views of the cathedral. So that walking tour is all included in the holiday package itself. You get some time to see the lovely and relaxing city of Vigo as well. Again, very famous for its old town, which all of these towns and cities are. So make sure you spend some time wandering the old town, which slopes above the marina. Very famous for its fresh seafood as well, Vigo. So if you're into your seafood, make sure that you sample some of that. You have quite a bit of time to explore the area whilst in Vigo. You've got 2 nights. So one recommendation is to take a trip out to an area called Bayona, which is just a short bus ride away from Vigo. It's a lovely, quaint fishing port, which has a very impressive castle called the Castillo de Monterreal. The castle's in an elevated position, which lends itself to fantastic views of the surrounding coastline. And then finally, you're going to finish up in Porto, a beautiful place to finish your trip and spend a day or two. Of course, there's a plethora of sites to visit in Porto. And, it is walkable, but we do like to include a hop-on, hop-off city tour pass for you in Porto, just to make sure that you can make the most of your time. Make sure that you take a walk down the river, the Douro, see some of those colourful houses that line the hills, the bell towers, the churches. Make sure that you take in some of that fantastic, intricate architecture. And also check out the historic centre, the Ribera district, a UNESCO-listed area, and make sure you walk along, of course, the famous Dom Louis Bridge, an incredible vantage point from which to see the city. If you're wondering where to stop for lunch, there's lots of traditional markets, one of the most famous being the Mercado de Bolhau, serving up a variety of fresh produce, and it is a fantastic place to stop for lunch. And then just to finish off, you can go and see some of the famous historic wine cellars of Porto as well, and maybe sample some of the wine, or of course a bit of port while you're there. As I say, Porto really is a fantastic destination to finish this Spanish-Portuguese trip. Okay, so that concludes the webinar today. Hopefully some of those 5 trips have given you a bit of inspiration for your next holiday away. If we haven't managed to take your breath away with any of these, then please do check out our website, railbookers.co.uk, or if you want to speak to one of our travel experts for some inspiration, then please don't hesitate to give us a call. So once again, thank you ever so much for your time today. Really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.